Hey guys, what is going on? I am Matt O'Leary hanging out with you on Super Bowl Sunday. Oh, what a great day to be a football fan. I'm going to eat my body weight in appetizers and all kinds of junk and no stress because the Jets aren't playing in the Super Bowl for the 53rd straight year. Oh man. That changes in 2024. That's what we're going to be talking about today, I guess, really is a good topic of conversation is Aaron Rodgers' timeline, because Aaron Rodgers and the Jets is the conversation that's never ending right now. That's the big storyline. And there was a report from our guy, Ian Rappaport, where he was talking about the timeline of Aaron Rodgers. He is going into darkness tomorrow, so we could have a decision very soon. Let's listen to the first little bit of this report that he dropped on the NFL Network.
Rich, Aaron Rodgers' darkness therapy, his isolation retreat actually begins tomorrow morning. It is going to be 4 days. He is going to turn the lights out, lock the doors, and consider his future. And my understanding, guys, of where this stands is Rodgers' future no doubt hangs in the balance in Green Bay. The Packers are, in fact, willing to consider trading him. They are, in fact, willing to think about, could Aaron Rodgers be headed elsewhere? But they're waiting for him to let them know. That's really where it is. Does Rodgers want to play in Green Bay? If he does, they are good to go, run it back. If not, the way it'll work, Mike, he will pick a team. He will say, I want to go here. And there are a couple, the Jets, the Raiders, and they will say, we will facilitate that trade. Retiring, though, still an option.
Now, there we go. That is the update on Aaron Rodgers. He could theoretically retire. That is what I find the least likely scenario for Aaron Rodgers, to come out of this and say, that's it, I'm retiring. Because if he does elect to retire, that would mean he would go into the same Hall of Fame class as Tom Brady. I don't know how he could possibly sit there and say, yeah, I want to share the stage with Tom Brady. That does not sound like Aaron Rodgers to me. Aaron Rodgers, I think, was going to play at least one more year, maybe two out of it. But can he go back to Green Bay? Of course, theoretically he could, but they took a little bit of a step back this past year. Is that just something that has, you know, he's not necessarily worn out his welcome, but just all right, it's time for something else. And they have their guy that they drafted in the first round in Jordan Love. Don't you think they eventually want to see what Jordan Love has to offer? He's been in the league now for 3 years, 2020, 21, and 22. Going into his fourth year, is this the time where he finally gets that opportunity to start? It feels like, if not now, when? It's either got to be, all right, we're going to keep moving forward with Aaron Rodgers, but Jordan Love, I think, would be traded if they decide to do that. And then would the Jets get involved in Jordan Love? I don't know. To me, that's too big of a question mark. But if Aaron Rodgers was to be traded, which I think is probably the most likely scenario, the Jets and the Titans are the two teams that I think stand out the most to me. The Raiders are a touch behind. I think his path to the playoffs is easiest with the Jets. Then the Titans is also right there because that division isn't great. The division in the AFC West is a challenging one, to say the least. So I don't know if I would want to go there, especially with how porous that defense is as well. But who knows? Maybe that ends up being an option for A-Rod after all this. But I think he gets moved in the timeline. So what we know is he's going to go into his little darkness chamber for 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're curious about how that lines up with the Derek Carr situation, fair question. The Raiders would have to make a decision by Carr on Wednesday. So that, to me, looks like that ship has sailed. Unless something drastically changes in the next 2 to 3 days. The Saints seem like the team that is the front runner for him, and they seem like they're going to land him. So that becomes Aaron Rodgers and ... What's the move after that? Is Jimmy G their backup plan? Would they pivot and try to trade for Lamar Jackson? Is that the big one? If Lamar, for whatever reason, gets franchise tag and they can't agree to a long-term extension, I would be surprised if that ended up being the case. I think if they were to trade Lamar, I think they'd prefer to do it outside of the conference. It's not like, the Ravens and the Jets don't play in the same division. We understand that, but don't you think they'd rather send him to the NFC if they were going to move him? So It very much so feels like the Jets are all in on Aaron Rodgers. Not really too much of a shock, but what do you, I mean, what do you do? What do you do? Older than Dirt Jets fan, we'll open it up to comments. You can get your comments in. We should also put the banner up. So if you want to become a member to support the channel, you can do that. Hit the join button down below. You can follow along at Matt O'Leary NY. And if you have any super chats or want questions answered, you can send those in. Those jump the line. Let's go into the comments. We will start things off with Older Than Dirt Jets fan, aka Walt, one of my favorite names on YouTube. He says, bring him on. Maybe he could defunkify Zach and get his head on straight in a darkness retreat. Maybe. That would be pretty wild, right? But I don't know what the realistic outlook is for Zach Wilson, if he is salvageable or what. I will say, though, and this has kind of been my steady take, if there was ever a scenario where Zach could figure it out, I would think behind his idol and a guy like Aaron Rodgers might be the one last prayer you have for Zach Wilson. Could be. Yeah, bring him in the darkness retreat. Can't hurt. Bob's hanging out with us. Do you think Derrick Henry should retire? I don't really know. Don't really have too much of a strong opinion on Derrick Henry. And he says, fly, Eagles, fly. I'm rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like Mahomes. His dad was a former Met. That's about it. That's all I got. That's why I'm rooting for that. I'm not going to be super upset if the Eagles won. I don't really have a dog in the fight, but I'm going to say 30-27 Chiefs in a fun one. Matt Curtis, he's a member of the channel. What's up? What's up, man? Hope you are having a good start to your Sunday. We're going to hang out for a little bit. I figured talk some ball, answer any questions before. Usually on Sundays, I like to go live around, 7 o'clock? But, I mean, I figured everyone's going to be watching the Super Bowl, so there's really no point to going live at that time. Wesley says, if we get stuck with Jimmy G, I will be depressed. Honestly, I think there's a world where that's on the table. I still think Rodgers is the most likely, but the second most likely is probably Jimmy G behind Aaron Rodgers. And if that's the case, well, you better have a good backup quarterback because Jimmy G has gotten hurt a ton. And I've had people as recently as yesterday saying, well, like guys like Phil Simms got hurt early in his career and he was able to get that figured out. Well, okay, that was like the first 4 years of his career. Here's Jimmy G's 9-year career. Obviously not a starter up until this point. He gets traded to San Francisco, plays 5 games. He played 3 games in 2018, injured. Played a full season in 2019, the only time he's ever played a full season. 6 games and an injury in 2020. 2021, he played 15 games, so an improvement. And then this year, 11. So he's missed significant time, 1 to 3 out of the last 5 years. So you can take that gamble if you want and say, we think he's going to be healthy. But what have the Jets shown you over the last 2 years where you're like, yep, I definitely think we have the infrastructure to keep players healthy? That's something that they struggle with immensely. I'd be scared for my life if Jimmy G is the guy because of just the injury concern. And when he plays, he's okay. He's not terrible. Like this year, 7-3 as a starter, threw for 221 yards a game, 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 7.9 yards per attempt, completion percentage of 67.2. He's solid. He's okay. But, man, I think I'd just so much rather Aaron Rodgers at this point. Ethan, the Jet fan, what's going on, man? How's it going? His question is, what's your worst and best case scenario for quarterback? Okay. Best case scenario, I think, is Rodgers. At this point, of the likely options, I think it's Aaron Rodgers as the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, running it back with Mike White and Zach Wilson, quarterback room. Or if you were to add another quarterback, Baker Mayfield. I liked Baker coming out, but he just brings this level of negative attention with him. I'm good there on Baker. So I'll say for worst, either running it back with White Wilson quarterback room or just adding a guy like a bottom tier guy like Baker to this fold, to this drama. of the quarterback room. Best case scenario, A-Rod, because he has the highest ceiling, I think. And if he's on and if he's healthy, he's a guy who I think can be a top 5 quarterback still in this league. And obviously he was hurt this year and still put up pretty solid numbers, around 3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns. I think if he's healthy, 4,000, 4,200 yards, close to 30 touchdowns, 10 picks, something like that. I think you sign up for that in a second. Harlan says, would like to see Kansas City win. Eagles had Andy Reid as their head coach and they fired him. Andy Reid has since been to several Super Bowls. Yeah, that'd be a cool storyline also. Just Andy going up against his old team. I know a lot of people are tired of the Kelsey brothers storyline, but I think it's cool. I really do. Two brothers going against each other, Travis and Jason. You got to love both those guys. And again, if the Eagles won and Jason Kelsey ends up as a Super Bowl champion, I think that'd be really cool. But I like Kansas City. I know people have Kansas City fatigue. I'm not there. I love getting to watch Patrick Mahomes. I think he is truly, truly special. To me, no, without a doubt, the best quarterback in the game right now. I don't think it's particularly close. I know, Joe Burrow's rising the ranks, and some people were trying to say that Josh Allen's the best quarterback in football. I don't buy it. I think it's Patrick Mahomes by a long shot, and it'd be cool to see him get his second ring. Joe says, I would rather go for the cheap vet and load up on O-line, IDL, linebacker, and safety, ground and pound, and best defensive football will work. I personally wouldn't, but what would the cheap option be? I guess Jimmy. Your prediction of 30 to 27 Chiefs would win me $125 on a $5 bet. I hope you're right, man. I love it. Yeah, take that gamble. Why not? Absolutely older than dirt Jets fan, aka Walt. Still, I love that name. That's so funny. Wesley says, if the Jets ever make the Super Bowl, can we come watch at your house? Yeah, watch party at Matt O'Leary and Wise house. Let's do it. That would be I don't know what I would do if the Jets were in this Super Bowl. For the 2 weeks leading up to it, I feel like I'd just be like on my worst behavior, just unhinged. I would be inconsolable, just an absolute menace to society. I don't know. I obviously 2 weeks filled with videos and content, but I don't know how I get any sleep. I would just be my mind would be racing, and I know you guys probably feel the same way. Oh, Jimmy Jet says, "You think Sam would come back if they reached out?" I would, based on how it ended, I would say no. But also, I'm not interested in Sam. Um, he was I was a fan of him his first 2 years here. I thought there was a chance that he could develop into the guy. He took a very big step back his second year. And then he played okay at times this year, but injuries are also a part of Sam Darnold's career. Like I talked about being nervous about Jimmy G. Sam has missed time literally all 5 years he's been in the league. He's missed time. Now, one of them was due to mono, but that was in his second year. He missed 3 games in 2018, 3 in 2019, 4 in 2020, 6 in 2021. And he started 6 games this year, but he got hurt in preseason and missed a huge chunk of the season. So I would say no to Darnold. I wish him the best. I have no ill will against Sam Darnold. I was really rooting for him to be the guy. I thought it was a steal that they got him at pick 3. I thought he had a promising rookie year, an okay second year, and then it fell off a cliff. It really did. Ethan says, also quick thoughts on these outside the box quarterbacks, Dak, Kyler, Tannehill. Tannehill's I think he's probably one of the more realistic options is option 4. I don't love it. He's 35. He's sneaky pretty old. I didn't realize how old Ryan Tannehill was at this point in his career. Kyler, if you move for him, he's going to miss probably half the year this year. I do also worry with them having to put that clause in his contract. I know they ended up taking it out, but you don't originally put that in if you don't think that you need it. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And with Dak, I'd be curious to see if they could make the cap hit work. I think people are a little too harsh on Dak Prescott. People say he's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in football. The interceptions went up this year. That was tough. He had 15 interceptions in 12 games. That was bad, but that's pretty much an outlier. His worst before that was 13. Last year in 2021, threw for 4,400 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. Normally, I think a very solid quarterback. He struggled this year. Um, I think he would be a bounce back candidate. I don't think he's terrible. You have some people who just Dak is awful. He's so overrated. I don't buy it. I think he's somewhere around the 10th best quarterback or so, maybe a little bit less in that good tier, 10 to 15, somewhere around there. Bob says the Kelsey brothers matchup is cool. I agree. Harlan says Jets don't need Mike White. He's just a cheaper version of Jimmy G. White is injury prone. Yeah, I also don't think he's as good as Jimmy. I think he's fine as a backup and spot starter. I really do. But you're right. He has missed time. He's someone else who has in his career could pull that up with Mike White. Games he's got banged up in. This year, the Buffalo game, he had to leave. And last year in 2021, I'm not saying that I necessarily blame him. These things happen, but he had to leave for a couple plays in the Cincinnati game. He got hurt in Indianapolis and then was pulled for ineffectiveness against Buffalo. Do you think the Jets should draft a D lineman to help out Quinnen Williams? Maybe at some point in the mid rounds. I think interior defensive line is something that they could use depth at. I wouldn't spend a first or second round pick on the position, but somewhere in that third to fifth round, sure. I think you could add an interior guy. Sheldon Rankins is a free agent. Solomon Thomas wasn't really that effective. He's a free agent. Nathan Shepard's a free agent. So I think they will have to. Oh, Snowball says, I asked Buffalo Jet fan this morning if he'd trade Quinnen for Rodgers straight up. What's your take? I think the best way to do this is to think of what if you were to trade Quinnen Williams on his own, what would he fetch? And I think it would be more than what it would take to land Aaron Rodgers. I think would get if Jamal Adams got multiple firsts, I think Quinnen Williams would also get that. And maybe another mid-round pick. He's a younger player. I think you're only getting Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. I would not. I would say no. I would say no to that. It's tough. It's a tough one, but I would say no. I would not do it for straight up. King Jamie, you must be going absolutely bonkers today. He says, I put $1,000 down on the Chiefs to win. Good luck, my friend. I appreciate it. He says, if you guys get Rodgers, you will host an AFC championship. Wow. Strong words from King Jamie the Mad. Good luck today to those Kansas City Chiefs. I'm rooting for you guys. Thoughts on the state of the fan base as of recent? As chaotic as ever. Like this fan base, Ethan, is just never happy. They can never be happy. And they're always going to debate everything. Like there's people who love the idea of Rodgers, and there's people who hate the idea of Rodgers. There's people who love the idea of Carr, and there's people who hate the idea of Carr. People want lower tier options or run it back with Mike White. You can't get anyone to agree on everything. Jenny says, we have gotten where we are by being smart with our draft picks and free agent signings. Don't give up draft picks for an aging quarterback who might not play. Based on, well, you're not going to give up the picks if he's not coming back, but you're going to figure he's going to say, I'm coming back to play and then get traded, or I'm going to retire, and that's it. Also, the Jets have been pretty bad in free agency under the Joe Douglas era. They've got DJ Reed was a good signing. Fant was so, but beyond that, there have been some misses in free agency. Laken Tomlinson, as of right now, looks like a miss. Jordan Whitehead didn't really do much this year. He struggled. Corey Davis was a flop. Carl Lawson missed a year and was okay this year. They really haven't been great in free agency, and that's arguably the biggest need. Ethan says Jets going to lose Rodgers to the darkness, Jimmy G to a common cold, and Carr to those damn Saints. The common cold. That's funny. What do you do? What then? What is it? Tannehill? Just kind of gross, but probably. King James says, Matt, I've been waiting around for a bunch of years for my second favorite team, the Jets, to play my Chiefs in a championship. It's coming, bro. That would be something. I would sign up for that in a second. How much fun that would be. Rex Ryan interviewed for Denver, DC. Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise that Rex Ryan interviewed for the defensive coordinator position. He's been out of the league since 2016, right? He got fired by the Bills in 2016. So it's been a little bit. I think I'd be surprised if he got the job, but good for him, man. I mean, I liked Rex for what he did on this team. I don't like the idea that people wanted to bring him back as a head coach. There were too many bring back Rex Ryan takes. Um, but I have no ill feelings towards Rex. He was a big part of my two favorite years as a Jets fan in 2009 and 2010. Good luck. I think he's better on TV now. I think he's better served as someone who should be on TV now than back in the league coaching. He's probably better off as a DC than a head coach. So if he gets a job, good for him, man. Dave says, did you see Joe Burrow said he wants a franchise-friendly contract extension to keep good players on the team? Hope that becomes a trend in the NFL. I did see something to that effect. I'm very curious to see what he gets. Maybe that will become a trend and become the norm in the NFL. These numbers on these contracts, they can get a little bit pricey, and at times it can get a little out of hand. But with the risk that you're taking to play in this league, I don't really fault players for wanting to get theirs. I really don't, especially with the contracts, except if you're Deshaun Watson, because he gets a fully guaranteed contract. But the contract's not being fully guaranteed, I think is tough. It puts these players in a tough spot. We'll see what he gets. I would imagine, like, does Spot Rack have his market value? No, probably not, because he's not a free agent. Joe Burrow market value, I'd have to imagine it would be close to 50 million, probably. I think it would be at least 45 million plus per year would be the guess, but who knows what he ends up getting. Jay Boy says, so we don't send an offer to Carr, and now Rodgers will go somewhere else and Jimmy will sign before Rodgers is traded. So I say Baker or Zach is starting. Man, that'd be pretty depressing if that's what it ends up having to be. That would be, I think, arguably worst case scenario. I hope Rodgers comes out of his little 4-day retreat and says, I'm back. I'm ready to play football. Let's bleep and go. What's the most you would give up for Rodgers? Basically asking, at what point would you say it's too much? I think the 2 first rounders would be the absolute most. I don't think that's what it would cost, but that's the most I would go. I've seen people say like 2 firsts and a young player and a third. I'm like, no, I think that's too much. I think that is way too much. Bob says Jets should trade for Jared Goff from the Lions. I don't know if they want to move on from him. He had a pretty nice year this past year. I'd be surprised if the Lions decided to move on from him, because they have him for, I believe, another year after this. Let's see what's his contract. Jared Goff is under contract next year, has a $31 million cap hit. They could trade him and free up a lot of money. It would only cost $5 million against the in dead cap, and it would free up 26.975 million. But I think they'd want to run it back with him and maybe, not have to worry about that position yet. But he was pretty solid last year. I think that's the best spot for him to have success is in Detroit with that offense and that OC. So I don't know. Dave from New Brunswick says Quan Alexander and Sheldon Rankins were solid. Yeah, in a perfect world, you'd love to see both of those guys come back. They might get bigger roles elsewhere and bigger money elsewhere, so maybe that's not all that realistic. But I like both those guys a lot. You guys know I'm a big Quan guy. Ethan, thank you so much for hanging out for a little bit. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Hope you have a good one. King Jamie says Rodgers wanted out of the Packers for years. They have never respected him, and that is where the drama came from. Hackett going to the Jets was the biggest sign I have ever seen. Yeah, I mean, I think he comes for he was getting paid a lot of money to do nothing, and he decided to come back. Do you think he decided to come back for the chance to coach up a Baker Mayfield or a Ryan Tannehill, or come for the chance to play with Rodgers again? I think the latter. Yeah, that's a fact. That is absolutely a fact. Deshaun Watson and the Browns ruined the market. 1000%. Are the Eagles allowed to hire Vic Fangio for 2 weeks? I don't know. I don't know what that is in reference to. Oh, yeah. That's Vic Fangio has helped the Eagles prep for the Super Bowl after he signed a 2-week contract with them. That's interesting. That is an interesting one. Tomorrow he'll join Miami as yeah, let me pop this up on the this is a story that I didn't see up until right now. It came out about an hour ago. Let me pop this up on the screen. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Eagles have gotten help from an unexpected place. Vic Fangio signed a 2-week contract to Philly to help its defense prepare for KC's defense. Help its offense, to prepare for Casey's defense. Tomorrow he'll join Miami's at DC. Yeah, I mean, he's essentially as a consultant, I would guess. I would assume that as some sort of consultant. I didn't know. That MGM says collusion. Yeah, he signed as a consultant earlier this season. Yeah, I would say it's, I guess, the same rules that apply to hiring consultants. Kind of the same boat there. But that's an interesting one. I did not see that. This is a great question. Walt, is Hackett even getting paid for the Jets? If he is, it's not much. If he is, it ain't much. King Jamie the Man says they sent a guy from Denver. Chiefs own Denver. Yeah, how did Vic Fangio fare as how did his defenses fare against Kansas City? I would assume not well, by King Jamie's reaction, right? My assumption would be that I would assume that they handled business against them, but you never know. Who the hell knows? Who does the script have winning tonight? Hopefully the Chiefs 30-27. That's what my script has. I'm excited for this one though. I genuinely think we get a good game here. No matter who wins, like I said, I don't really have a dog in the fight. It doesn't really matter to me one way or the other who wins. I do have a little bit of money on the Chiefs, so I'm with King Jamie. Not $1,000 in, but I am in on the Chiefs. I have a few bets for today's game. Let's go through. I'll give you the card that I'm working with for today. I texted it to a buddy, so here we go. Okay. Chiefs money line at plus 105. Coin toss heads minus 105. Over 5.5 total sacks. That's for each team. Minus 112. Travis Kelce first touchdown plus 600. And then a little sprinkle on this plus 1900 one that I found over on BUSR. BUSR.com/Matt to sign up. A non-quarterback touchdown pass plus 1900. So those are, I have a sprinkle on some of those longer ones, and the Chiefs money line is the biggest play that I have today. So there we go. They play us twice a year, and we have won 14 in a row. So, oof, that's tough. Brian says, hopefully AVT position is solidified next year. I know he's a selfless leader of the team who was moved around because of injuries, but I could imagine it's a little irritating for him. Yeah, Brian, that is a fantastic point. It's awesome that you could rely on him to play left tackle, right guard, or left guard. But don't you just kind of want him to just stick in a spot and stay there? I feel like that makes life so much easier on not only for him, but just the team in general. I think it would make a whole lot of sense to just stick him at a position and let him work. He can play tackle. I think he is a better guard than he is a tackle. So hopefully they move him back inside. J Boy says if no Carr or Rodgers, the best bet would be trade our first this year and next year to the Bears for the first overall pick. And who do you want? Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? Will Levis? I'm not sold on Will Levis. I don't think the Bears want to fall that far back. I think they should stay in the top 5. They still need to get an elite defensive player in this draft, and there's not a ton of elite prospects in this draft. I just want King Jamie to be happy, says Dave. Me too. King Jamie's a real one. He always hangs out in the chats with us. He's a good time. I want him to be happy. I have no ill will towards King Jamie or the Chiefs. They're fun. They're a fun team until they start like, hey, if the Jets and the Chiefs meet up a few times in the playoffs or whatever, and the Chiefs will beat them a couple times, then maybe they start to get annoying to me. But I like them. Now, is Patrick Mahomes' wife and brother a little annoying? Yeah, a little bit. But I don't let that ruin what I see from him on the field because I think he's that special. Coolest thing I've seen in a long time is all the team and fans from the Eagles and the Chiefs are getting along so well. It's really refreshing because the Bengals talk too much trash and hooday. They did. I didn't really care for that. I think Eli Apple's another one who was incredibly annoying. And then I forget which Bengals defender was calling it Burrowhead, but I thought a little bit of that it was a little over the top for me. You know, there's fun in games, but that was a little bit over the top. That's good. That makes me happy. Johnny Rep says, why does it seem like this was a very weak NFL season this year? Super Bowl bears it out. Eagles beat up on unbelievably weak schedule, and KC has laughable talent beyond 3 players. I don't know if that's fair. The Eagles did have a weaker schedule, but you gotta be able to beat the teams in front of you. And they have an insanely deep roster. They really do. Their roster is constructed very, very well. And the Chiefs are extremely well coached. Mahomes is another worldly player, but I didn't think it was weak. I think these are some of the last 4 teams standing were the best 4 teams for pretty much the entire year. So I think that's good. I think we got, good games the rest of the way, and these games should be good. Both fan bases love Andy Reid. I don't know. Some of the Eagles fans, I think, turned on him. They don't really like Andy Reid too much, but others really appreciate what he did. Kyle says, so Rodgers news by the end of this week? Sorry, just joined. Potentially. I think we'll be able to know maybe by Friday or Saturday what his plan is. And then the speculation really ramps up, but hopefully that's the case. What's up, boys? Go Jets. Thank you, NYJ Superfan. I love it. Always good for a little Jet talk in the morning or afternoon now. Afternoon. This day's going slow. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the lead up to the Super Bowl always goes so slow. And, there's a ton of pregame stuff on, so I'm going to pop that on a little bit here. But I'm just amped up for this game. I'm ready. I'm rocked. I'm ready to go, man. Yeah, this is the week I think we get some info out for Rodgers. That'd be fantastic if we get some info out. Did they even try Carr? It didn't seem that way. It seems like the only team that has tried for Derek Carr has been the Saints. I don't think anybody else has, shown much interest yet. Maybe that changes, but who knows? And then Jets Unleashed says, I heard the Jets don't like Carr. Maybe they don't, or maybe Derek Carr said he didn't want to come to New York. I like Carr. I think he would have been a good fit here. He's such a polarizing guy. I feel like fans either love him or hate him and want no part of him. I think he would have been a solid option for the Jets. I don't see it as pretty likely at this point. I think he's going to the Saints, but I like him. I thought Roger said on McAfee he was entering the darkness in a couple weeks. The sooner the better, though, of course. It's supposedly tomorrow. Ian Rappaport was saying tomorrow he's going in. So. Any players you're watching tonight that you'd like to see the Jets sign this offseason? Good question. I would say off the top of my head, the one that I would probably like to see the most is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the safety from the Eagles. I thought he was solid this year. He could play all over. He could play in the slot, in the box, at free safety. He plays a little all over the place. They traded for him from the Saints, I believe, right? Yes, he was 3 years with the Saints, and then with Philly this year. He's still young. He's 25 years old. I think that's the move. I think that's the guy that I would like to see the most for the Jets. Are there any linebackers who are becoming free agents? I don't really think either of these teams have anybody at that position where I'm like, oh my God, that jumps out to me. So I would say he's probably the best one. King Jamie says, I'm going nuts waiting and waiting. Was up at 4 a.m. and got started on the ribs. I'm fixing. Good for you, man. Do you think Carr is released or traded before the 15th? If he's released, do you think he signs with the Saints right away, or does he make the rounds? Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, right? Because maybe if he is just released, I don't know if he would sign right away. Maybe he would make the rounds because supposedly you have to have a trade in place with the Raiders in order to get the meeting with Carr. So maybe the Saints are the only team that has that in place. But then I would think he would maybe the Raiders would probably pull the trigger on it unless he's saying no. This is confusing. I would like to see him make the rounds, but as of now, again, maybe that changes in the next couple of days. It feels like it's a matter of time before it's announced to the Saints. I don't like Carr because I don't see him winning a Super Bowl. Okay. I don't know if that's fair. But I get it. If you don't think someone who's like a middle of the pack quarterback can win a Super Bowl, then I would imagine that would be the take. I think he's fine, and I think fine quarterbacks can win the Super Bowl. Tommy Townsend. That's a good name. How did he do this year? A punter? It'd be nice to have a punter that was fixed or better or capable. Phenom, what's up, dude? Says happy Super Bowl Sunday, Matt. The NFL had parity this season. The quote remains true on any given Sunday. Amen. That's what I love about football or just sports in general, that any given Sunday mentality. It's fun. Chauncey, definitely big upgrade. Yeah, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I think, is the best one. Jets gang says, I think the Jets have a better chance getting Lamar than Rodgers. Really? Okay. I mean, maybe they do. I personally don't think that, but who knows? Maybe they do. I think if he was to get moved, it would make more sense for them to trade him to the NFC. But if they miss out on Rodgers and throw a bag of picks over to Baltimore, maybe they do that. Rico the Pup, what's up, dude? Says, I think he makes the rounds. This might be his last contract, and he's never really seen what the league thinks of him. Why not? Fair point. That's a fair point, Rico. Maybe he would just want to hold out at that point. Considering Rodgers' comments the last few days, is there any concern of unraveling? His comments were odd. Yeah, they're a little strange. He's a little bit of a weird guy. He's a little bit of a weird guy. I'm not overly concerned about it. If that's what he wants to do, he wants to do the darkness therapy, let him do it. Is it strange? Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it, but we'll see. The Titans, why that team? Well, I think the reason why he would want to go to the Titans is Vrabel. He has a house down there. They have an easy path in that division. That division kind of stinks outside of the Jaguars. The Colts are starting over to an extent. The Texans still have a long way to go. If he's going there for like 2 years, now they don't have a ton of weapons to throw to, but Derrick Henry's a nice piece. Super Bowl chat, super chat on Super Bowl Sunday from V-Man. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. You see Seattle fans hissy fit on Twitter. Yeah, I hated that. And I had what I thought was a pretty good reaction to it. I'll pull up the tweet in case you guys didn't see it. It was from yesterday or so. Because you saw a lot of people were saying that the Jets won Offensive Rookie of the Year because New York has there's a pro New York narrative. So I said the pro New York narrative for the awards is hilarious when you consider everyone and their mother shits on the Jets every chance they get. There is no pro Jets narrative. There isn't. I'm sorry. It's just not the case. V-Man, thank you for the super chat. You know I appreciate you. Your thoughts on tomorrow being a national hangover holiday? Do it. I would, if I was the president of the United States, I would make Super Bowl the Monday after the Super Bowl be a national holiday. It'd be great. I think they should. I think they should do it. This is a good question from Mike. He says, has there ever been a Jets wide receiver with 1,000+ yards seasons twice in a row? I would think yes. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say Don Maynard probably did it. And we got to go if there were ones more recently. Don Maynard had, yes, a 1,400-yard season in 1967 and then a 1,200-yard season in 1968. Did Keyshawn ever do it? Keyshawn had 1,000 yards, 1,100 in each of 98 and 99. Did Coles do it? I'm literally just typing into football, Pro Football Reference. Coles, oh no. It was 1,200 with the Jets in 02 and then ended up in Washington in 03. But he put up 1,200 again. So not Coles. So probably I'm going to say Keyshawn was the last one. Unless did Kotchery? He had a 1,000-yard season in 2007, I believe. Yeah, 1,100. Kotchery was close. In 06 had 961 and then 07 1,130. So last one was probably Keyshawn. Hammer says, I will take odd guy at quarterback if it gets the Jets a shot at the Super Bowl. Amen. I think you live with it. You sign up for it. You say, we'll deal with the real stuff or the fake stuff, but the crazy stuff. But if you win, you win. Don Maynard, yeah. Yeah, V-Man is the history guru. Betting odds for Kevin Hart drunkenly walking onto the field again if Eagles win. You got to think he's going down there if the Eagles win, right? Rick, great point. Says, been a Jets fan since 67 and never has there been a pro Jets narrative. Exactly. Exactly. That's the joke. Indy says Tune was so close. Yeah, let me pull up Tune. He was probably close. 85 to 92. Yeah, he was close. Wow. Okay, so in 86 had 1100 yards, 976 in 1987, and then over 1,000 yards in 88. So that would have been 3 years in a row. No, a Jet Super fan says Corbett. I don't think so, but good. Maybe he did. I think he only had one 1,000-yard season. Yes, he did. I was right. 98 was his only 1,000-yard season. In 99, he had 631 yards, and then in 97, he had 799. Good guesses. Aaron Rodgers looks like your neighborhood star. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But if he could lead the Jets to 12 wins and a playoff appearance, and maybe, God, will I even say a home playoff game? Who cares? All I say is this: you need one drive to win the game. Who do you feel most comfortable with? Rodgers, Carr, Jimmy G, Lamar. What do you feel is probably who we should get, i.e., Rodgers or Lamar? I would say out of that group, I would say Rodgers, Lamar, Carr, Jimmy in that order. Rodgers looks like a guy that sells ketamine to teenagers, but he could effing sling it. LOL. Nothing more accurate has ever once been said. That's fantastic. We got the chat going back and forth with the Titans. Look, I'm not saying the Titans are this great team, but they're well coached and are in a pretty easy division. I don't think they should be the favorites over the Jets. I think the Jets are a better landing spot than the Titans, but I don't think we could discount them. Kyle says, I just don't get how Rodgers, other suitors are teams that are 20 to 15 million over the cap. Even with some cuts, those teams are still not nearly as win now as the Jets. Yeah. That's why I agree, Kyle. That's why I think the Jets are the favorites for this one. Joe says only one running quarterback held value after 5 years. McNabb. Ravens can keep Lamar. Yeah, McNabb was good. What about, would you say McNair? Would you consider him a running quarterback? He wasn't really in that same category. McNabb was significantly better than McNair, I would say. That's fair. As the song goes, the waiting is the hardest part. Amen. Just waiting around, waiting for something to happen. It's not good. Joe Douglas has proved he will do everything he can without sinking the franchise to get Rodgers. We are in good hands. I hope so. I really do. Really hope that's the case. Another super chat from V-Man. Thank you, sir. If he is a stoner, it's a good thing New York and New Jersey has weed. Amen. It's is it technically legalized or is it just decriminalized? I don't know. But moral of the story, he can do all he wants here. Jeff Garcia had wheels. Dave from New Brunswick. I forgot about Jeff Garcia. Early 2000s, Jeff Garcia put up some numbers with T.O. He a great quarterback? I would not say great, but in 2000, 2001, he put up some pretty solid numbers. That's some early memories for me with him on San Francisco. Those are some early football memories for me. Rodgers reminds me of the 30-year-old guy with the hot rod who hangs around with the high school kids in the movie Days Confused. Kind of. That's true. Oof. I mean, that Garrett Wilson would be the best wide receiver Aaron Rodgers ever had. You think he's better than Devontae? I don't know if I'm ready to say that yet. I hope that eventually he becomes the case, but I don't think he's better than Devontae. Thanks, Weed Man. I mean V Man. That's great. Let's go to George. He says, I think we sign whoever quarterback is first and move on. Oh, whichever quarterback. If we don't get a veteran quarterback, then we use what is on our team and draft another quarterback. Me personally, I would like Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm just worried about his injury concerns, man. He's missed a ton of time in his career. He's only played a full season one time in 2019. Played 15 games in 2021, but there's a lot of 3, 6, 5 games, 10 games. Can we talk about the MVP curse? Will Mahomes break it? Yeah, an MVP hasn't won the Super Bowl, but the runner-up is 3-0 in the Super Bowl, I believe was the number. I think he can. I absolutely think he can break it. I have the Chiefs today, so I hope so. Super Bowl pick and favorite props. All right, I read this earlier, so I'll just go through a quick, City Burt. But I took the Chiefs money line, coin toss heads, over 5.5 total sacks. Travis Kelce first touchdown at plus 600, and just a little sprinkle on non-quarterback touchdown pass plus 1900. So we have an outright pick and 4 props. I would also take the over on the anthem if you could find that anywhere. It's at 205. Chris Stapleton's doing the anthem. He has a big booming voice. I think he drags it out. We are getting Rodgers, but personally, I think even though he isn't that good, Carr works better for this Jets team or with this Jets team. I don't think they're going to have the option for him. I hope they did. I liked Carr for this team, but it don't seem like they're interested for whatever reason. I ain't going for another 45 minutes, Bob. I'm sorry. Maybe another few. I bet 25,000 to the first play is a kickoff. There you go. Kyle says, what are your thoughts on Carl Lawson? Cut, restructure. We have too many edge rushers in JFM, Huff, JJ, Clemens. Tough decision coming there. Yeah, I like Lawson a lot. I'd be fine if they restructured him because I like him. I think he could still be a really good rusher. But if they wanted to just free up that 15 million and allocate that elsewhere, I would completely understand it. I think that'd be my guess. My guess would be cut, but I don't think we should be surprised by a restructure. And then plus, if you did move on from him, that would open up spots for Huff, JJ, and Clemens getting more reps, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think they deserve it. It took Devontae 3 years to match the stats Wilson put up in his rookie year. Okay. I mean, I hope that he turns into a better wide receiver, but Adams at one point was the number 1 receiver in football, and I think at worst is 3rd receiver in football. I hope you're right. I hope Garrett Wilson becomes that. I love his potential. I really do. What Rodgers so smoked he forgets how to throw for 4 months? Yeah, that ain't good. I don't want that. City Burt says Tannehill plan C. Probably. Would he be my plan C? I don't know, but I think my guess would be, let's say Rodgers goes to, I don't know, Tennessee or the Raiders. Jimmy goes somewhere else, then I think it would be Tannehill as that 3rd option. I think the Jets' preference, my guess would be Rodgers, Jimmy, and then Tannehill. Isn't there a Carr Saints news later today? A blockbuster trade I read? There could be. That could be announced. Let's see if there was anything new on it this morning. It still hasn't. We still haven't seen. They have the trade in place. It's just if they want to choose to go that direction. Maybe they do, but who knows? Hammer says during Rodgers' run with Green Bay, played well on offense, but overall, Green Bay had bad defensive teams. That is true. I think if the Jets got Rodgers, they won't try for D Hop. Hopkins will cost too much, and he will probably go where Lamar goes. I agree. I don't think you're getting DeAndre Hopkins and Rodgers. I agree with that, King Jamie. Now, maybe you bring in one of his friends like Lazard or Randall Cobb for wide receiver like 4 or 5, but I agree. I don't think they would land D Hop after that. Good for you. Jamel says, I'm betting the house Mekhi Becton becomes the best O lineman we have on the Jets roster in 23. I hope he does. I truly do. He has a ton of potential. I thought he looked good as a rookie. I'd be lying to you if I said that I wasn't scared about his injuries because he's missed 2 straight years. That has to be a concern. Tired of people blaming Zach for the season, man. Got all our wins except for 2. Oh, yeah. Wins and losses. I'm not doing that today. I clicked on that one by accident, by the way. This is the one that I wanted. But I live in Texas my whole life, and I will always follow the New York Jets. You're a real one. I've been to Texas twice. Houston, great city. San Antonio was another one that I've been to. I can't wait to come back. I want to see Austin, actually. Citybird says we need to draft a quarterback no matter what. Last 3 to 4. 4 teams drafted last 3 of 4 teams drafted a quarterback when they didn't need Purdy, Hurts. Oh, Purdy with Trey, Hurts with Wentz, Mahomes with Smith. Yeah, I mean a developmental guy there. That's not a terrible idea. Maybe a mid-round developmental guy. Was he? Becton is recruiting Lamar again on his Insta story. There we go. Trade for Lamar or use that package to trade for Chicago for the number 1 pick, grab the number 1 prospect on a rookie deal, and use the extra money to upgrade safety. I think this team needs to win now. And I would be very surprised if they went the young quarterback route. I think they're scared off by that right now. I mean, they took 2 swings in the last 5 years or so in the top 3 at the position and missed both times. My message is from Houston. I've loved Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston. I'm obsessed with the Buckeyes. LOL. Oh, with Bucky's, excuse me. LOL. We need those up north. Yeah, I've never been to one. I would love to go though. Buffalo Jet, what's up, dude? My man. He went live earlier today. I was hanging in there for a few minutes. Always a good time. Make sure to check out Buffalo Jet fan. Everyone hit the like button for this great content. Joe, appreciate it. You're a real one for that. Got time for a few more in here. Then I think we got to head out. We've been on for a little over an hour. Harold thinks Lamar to Miami. Surprise trade. Isn't that where he's from originally? I could be wrong, but I think Lamar Jackson is originally from Florida. Let's see. Let's do a little Google. Google never lied to you, right? Yeah. Pompano Beach, Florida. Interesting. So we get Rodgers and he plays 2 years for us. Then what? Draft a new one, trade again, sign another vet? You could do any of those. Maybe you draft someone either this year or next year and you have them sit behind him for 2 years, 1 year, and then he takes over. What are the odds Douglas and Salah miss twice? Very slim. The answer is to long-term success in the NFL is drafting and developing a rookie. I said the same thing after 2018. I said that they can't miss twice in the top 5. Different regime, different staff, but I get it. Hennessy says Miami can't afford Lamar. Rick says, thanks to the very informative and engaging streams. You're welcome. I have fun doing it. I like just hanging out, talking with the comments. King Jimmy says, I hope you Jets get the best quarterback available, and I hope he kicks butt next year. Good stream, Matt. Thanks for the giggles, chat. Go Chiefs. See ya. Enjoy. Good luck today. No problem, Jack. I have the Chiefs over the Eagles 30-27. I think we get a good game. Hawk. Wouldn't be a Hawk stream without some Zach Wilson pump up. I hope that Zach Wilson sits and then figures it out. That'd be fantastic. I don't think you can go into next year with him as a starter in this pressure-packed season where you need to make the playoffs. I like Sal and Douglas a lot. I'm afraid of Woody won't give them an opportunity to draft again if they sell their soul for Rodgers. It'll be Alexa. Oh god. There we go. Did you guys hear that? My Alexa going nuts in the background. Sorry, I'll start over. I like Sal and Douglas a lot. I'm afraid Woody won't give them an opportunity to draft again if they sell their soul for Rodgers. It'll be Super Bowl or bust at that point. Well, maybe they don't have to take one in the first round. You could take a second or third round quarterback. Jack has the Chiefs 27-23. There we go. Nicholas wants Lamar. Jordan says, Zach Wilson behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 years will be fine. I hope so. If he sits behind Rodgers for 2 years and then comes out and is ready to take over as a starter, that'd be fantastic. Apparently, he was just trolling, Brian. He was just trolling. Zach is going to stay. He has the potential and knows the team. Salah is giving him another chance. I think he stays. I do think they keep him and try to develop him. I don't think they just flat out give up on him on 2 years. That's the most possible scenario, I think, or the most optimistic view on it that I could take on it. Nicholas says Eagles 31-30. That'd be a fun Super Bowl. Sign me up for that. It's Hackett that will fix Zach, not Rodgers. Okay. See you later, Bob. Enjoy your shower. Love your streams. See you later. Appreciate it. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for me. Was on for a little over an hour today with you guys. Ton of fun as always. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Sunday. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I'll be back with more videos tomorrow. I'm Matt O'Leary. I'll talk to you next time.